How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be doing my review for Lucky Hank, Season 1, Episode 8, which was titled The Chopping Block. And this is also the season finale, and I guess potentially series finale. Although I really do hope this show gets renewed for a second season, because I've just loved this series so far. If you've been watching my previous reviews for this season, you'll know that I've pretty much loved every single episode. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a shame not many people are talking about this series. I'm pretty sure I'm, like, the only one who's consistently made videos for it on YouTube, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. This show just definitely deserves way more attention, especially because this finale was really damn good and actually leaves you wanting more. And, you know, they kind of end this episode in such a way that could lead into a very interesting Season 2. And I'm sort of glad, actually, they didn't resolve everything. In many ways, they kind of gave us more, I guess, questions than answers. Not really, but kind of. But hopefully people will want to see more of this show, and AMC will renew this series. However, the show is based off a novel, so I'm not really sure how much longer it could go on for. I mean, a Season 2 makes sense, but anything more than that, I'm not really sure. And I did read the book, actually, Straight Man, which was the title of the book. And, you know, this season pretty much told the whole story from the book. It definitely tweaked certain things. And one major thing the show has yet to really resolve, though, is kind of the relationship problems between Hank and Lily. Or at least their relationship's kind of left open-ended. And, you know, if they do a second season, they'll probably have to dip into original storylines, which I'm perfectly fine with as long as it's well written. But, you know, we'll talk more about Hank and Lily's relationship later in this review. But this episode mainly consists of Hank trying to figure out which members of the department to fire. And, you know, throughout the majority of the episode, he's really struggling to decide. He tries to get his assistant, Rachel, to help him, and even tries to get Billy to help him decide. But they kind of just refuse to do his dirty work, which I found pretty hilarious. Anyways, ultimately, Hank just refuses to give Dicky Pope names, and then him and the faculty kind of just go out to Nora's to get drinks. This is also where Hank meets back up with Meg, and she tells him that she doesn't really love Russell or anything, and it was kind of just like a hookup for her. She doesn't have any feelings, so to speak. And that kind of storyline is, I guess, resolved between the two. But then Jacob Rose arrives at the bar and tells everyone there that the board decided to fire Emma, Finney, and Billy, I think it was. And everyone's just kind of super bummed, so they all go to Tony's house. And then Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey Q. Epstein, actually, no, the Q isn't part of his name. But Jeffrey Epstein says that apparently Dicky Pope has like an obsession with MIT. And then Jacob Rose realizes there's like an opening for a job there. So this is where the schemes kind of started to take down Dicky Pope. And then we see Dicky get called into a meeting towards the end of the episode. And he apparently committed a serious like violation because he cut like 25% workforce of Railton. And it wasn't for the benefit of the school, but it was obviously to allow him to potentially get the MIT job. And then basically Dicky's assistant has evidence of this with like the emails, and then everyone knows now. And I think Dicky's fired. And honestly, it was just really great that this happened. It was super satisfying to see him go down. So now everyone's jobs are saved. And yeah, it was just a really nice and deserving win for everyone. But Hank doesn't actually want to celebrate with the faculty, though, so he goes to his mom and dad and has, like, lunch with them. And his dad talks about the time he was fired from Columbia. And Hank kind of comes to terms with him and his father's relationship. Because in his mind, he kind of believes, like, he has a better life than he ever could have, that his father could have had. And he kind of takes comfort in that realization. Like, Hank believes he has it all, you know. And his dad could have had a better life if he kind of, you know, didn't abandon him, obviously, and stick with his job so hardcore. But Hank actually even ends up resigning from the English department. He sends his resignation letter to Jacob. And that was a pretty shocking moment. I wasn't expecting that. But, you know, that it made sense. And then he actually ends up driving to New York to see Lily. And this is where it gets really interesting. When he knocks on the door, Lily kind of opens it, and she's in like a certain type of mood, like maybe expecting it's someone else. And then she opens it, and it's Hank. And then she kind of has like a weird reaction. She doesn't really, for me, it didn't really feel like she was happy to see him. So that's kind of interesting. I think Lily is kind of done with Hank and wants to move on from him, to be honest, which is pretty sad, but I guess somewhat understandable if you view this situation from her perspective, especially with the whole Catherine Keener thing where he mentioned it. Which, by the way, I really liked the Catherine Keener scene in this episode. I thought that was pretty funny and cool that they were kind of able to get her on the show for that scene. But she mentions, you know, meeting... Well, she actually doesn't mention that she met Catherine Keener, but apparently Hank gets in a certain mood when Catherine Keener's name's brought up and tries to make moves on Lily, I guess, whenever that happens. But then I guess Hank just, like, forgot that he used to do that. He doesn't do that anymore, I guess. And, you know, it's just like there's a major disconnect between the two of them, right? There's a major disconnect between Lily and Hank, and I think that's the main reason, or at least right now there's a major disconnect between them, and I think that's kind of why Lily just wants to potentially divorce him, potentially. We did get that scene in the last episode where she, like, kind of talked to that guy who sat down at her table, and I talked about that in my last review, but that was a great scene. And she kind of has all these like bottled up emotions towards Hank. Very interesting. In terms of some other things that happened in this episode, we just kind of got the side plot with Russell and Julie still trying to, Russell's still trying to make things right with Julie. Julie's not really having any of it. And Russell's gone as far as to even start camping outside of the house, which is hilarious, by the way. Russell is a weird character. Like, he's not a good guy, I don't really think. But also, like, I still feel like his actions are not justified, but I think it's just, honestly, this whole case between Julie and Russell is the fact that they were married way too young, and that's it. You know, Russell is just a boy, basically, you know what I mean? So, I'm not going to, like, justify Russell's actions, though, or anything. But although we do find out, though, in this episode that apparently Julie cheated on Russell a few times. But then she says, oh, it's because we were 19 and you were stoned when it happened. It's like, does that make it okay or what? I don't know what you're talking about, Julie. So Julie's not off the hook either. But I don't know. They're kind of toxic, low-key. Maybe there's hope for them, though. And it does seem like maybe at the end of the episode that maybe Julie could potentially get back with Russell. And maybe they'll get back together. But we don't really know, I guess, unless we get a season 2. So I guess that wasn't really fully resolved. But, you know, overall, a really good finale. I desperately want to see more of this show. But what are your guys' thoughts on the episode? What are your guys' thoughts on the show as a whole? Let me hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. From the very small amount of comments I've gotten from you guys, which I very much appreciate, it seems like you guys are enjoying it, which is good. We got to, like, start a petition for the show to get renewed or something, which hopefully it does. Hopefully AMC realizes that there's more story that could be unraveled here. And I like it. You know, I'm loving the show. It's great. Bob Odenkirk, fantastic in this episode, fantastic all throughout. And it's just a super underrated series overall. So I guess that's just kind of like my closing thoughts on the whole show. I'm not going to do like a whole season 1 review. These are just my thoughts, and you can go back and watch. I've reviewed every single episode now. Crazy. You guys can go back and watch my thoughts on each episode. But yeah, I've loved it so far, and I want to see more. Okay, I'm just rambling on. I'm just kind of sad, though, because this is like the last time. I don't want to end the video almost, because this is like the last time I'm going to be talking about the show for a while, at least. And hopefully not forever. So I don't know. But yeah. Let me hear your thoughts on all that down in the comments, as I've already said. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check out my Letterboxd and Twitter in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.